You are going to fail. It's inevitable. You are going to fail. But what if failure isn't what it seems? What if within failure hides the keys to your success? But failure is defined by lack of success. So how can this be? Good question, sarcastic Jess. For most of my life, failure seemed to follow me around. I felt like I was stumbling through life, mistake after mistake. Failure hurts. It isn't a pleasant experience. It can make you feel so small, so worthless, so lost and alone. But what if I was to tell you that failure is not a step backwards, but that it is actually a crucial and inevitable part of creating your destiny? I would even go as far to say that failure is a stepping stone to your success. Why? Because when we fail and when we survive failure, we gain irreplaceable knowledge about ourselves that can only come from the unstoppable perseverance of overcoming hardship. Failure is like this stupid, necessary part of life. No one likes it, but it is never going to go away. Failure is a part of our lives, whether we like it or not. So how can we hack it? How can we use it to our advantage? How can we learn to fail well? Number one, acceptance. Now, when I say acceptance, I don't mean acceptance like, oh, I'm always going to fail, so I may as well not even try. I've tried that, and it gets boring pretty quick. When I say acceptance, I mean an expected mindset, meaning that it's a part of the process of life. So when failure happens, it doesn't completely throw us off. You already know that it's a part of the process and that it's okay. We aren't going to let this throw us off, throw the baby out with the bathwater type thing. That is a really weird saying. But the important take from this is that yes, failure is going to happen. We may not know when, we may not know how, but that's okay. It means we're alive. It means we're trying, we're growing. That it's not the end of the world. And we just get back up and try again tomorrow. Which leads to my second point. Failure is temporary. Yes, I know firsthand that when you're in the thick of it, failure can feel like an eternity with absolutely no end in sight. And yes, sometimes the effects of our failures can follow us around for years or completely change the direction of our lives. Student debt. Excuse me. But it is temporary, and tomorrow is a new day. And yes, everything externally could still be exactly the same. But it's a process, my friend. How do you eat an elephant? At one bite at a time, and eventually you eat the whole thing. Again, that's a really weird and messed up saying, but I hope you're picking up what I'm putting down. Disclaimer. There are definitely days when I just completely crack, and I do not want to play at life anymore. These days will happen too, when it is all just too much and too overwhelming. And when these days happen, I have learned to just sit with it. I have to allow myself to feel the full extent of the hurt, the disappointment. I cry, I eat the whole bar of chocolate, and I go to bed because it's just all too hard and life isn't fair. This is also part of the process. We are human and we have limits. And as humans, we don't like this part of the process. We don't like pain, we don't like failing, and failure is portrayed by society to be a bad thing. Not only that, but that's usually the time when we become our own worst enemy. Our minds run rampant with self-doubt and negativity and shame. Don't let the failure get to you. Don't let it win the battle of your mind. Feel it, wrestle with it, be mad, be disappointed, grieve it, but then own it and know that this part is temporary. No matter how it feels, you will get back up tomorrow. It starts on the inside. We are building that resilience within ourselves to keep going, keep pushing on. This is temporary, and we can do this. This is the overcoming of the hardship part. We aren't going to be discouraged and lose focus. We are going to get right back up. We have to learn to deal with our disappointments. Number 3, learning to look for the good that comes from the result of failing. Good things can happen from failure. New paths, new opportunities, new friends. At the very least, you will learn what went wrong or why it went wrong and gain a new perspective. You just have to look for it. Be open to it, whatever it may be. That's what it's all about. And this part takes practice. But we can get to a point in our thinking that something good is going to happen. Something good is happening here. And look for the greater message of this experience and expect it to eventually turn out for good. This part of the process is usually a little easier when we have allowed ourselves to grieve the initial feelings of failure and learnt to deal with the disappointment in a healthy way. Take some time for self-reflection. Write things down or talk with someone that you trust. Give yourself time and space to reflect. Talk to yourself the way you would talk to someone you love in the same situation. Here's an example. I found a random quote that I scribbled in a book of mine from years ago. And the quote said, "What screws us up most in life is the picture in our heads of how it's supposed to be." That one hit me really hard. I was beating myself up, living in a constant state of I'm a failure because I was pissed off that life wasn't going the way that I thought it should. I was stuck and shutting myself off to any possibilities that life was going to give me because I just refused to look. I was being stubborn and closed-minded, which led to a really dark place mentally. I basically had an adult tantrum that spanned over a really long time, and the result of that was turning into a really shit and cranky human. I hadn't yet learned to deal with my disappointments. So that was something that I had to learn about myself. I learned that my thinking was skewed and that I was looking at my failures in the wrong light. This wasn't a sudden revelation. This was a series of failed attempts, a lot of heartache, and frustrations to the max. But would I have come to this point in myself if I hadn't kept showing up and trying, as sucky as that was at the time? Nope. Would I go back and change it if I could? I actually wouldn't. The reason I'm sitting here today and doing this very thing is because I had to learn to fail well. I had to learn that what I thought I wanted wasn't it at all. Which didn't mean that I'd failed like I thought I did at the time. I just didn't know myself yet. Now, like I said before, being good at failing is a learnt skill. It does not just happen. It takes practice and persistence to change your mindset. Keep going. Don't let fear rob you of what you rightfully deserve, which is the confidence to know that you can do it, whatever that is. Whatever the setbacks that life throws at you, you can do it. I believe in you. So that's my advice. So get out there and get back on that horse. If this video has helped you in any way, please hit the like button and continue on with your YouTube browsing. And I pray that you go into tomorrow with a renewed sense of oomph. You got this. Get it, get it.